Hi there, we are going to follow today's Pilates class with a really specific intention to address posture. So I'll be focusing a lot on shoulder and neck positions, lumbar spine positions and rib cage alignment. Really helpful if you are spending a lot of time at computers, stuck behind desks. If you've got the type of job that requires that, it's difficult to get out of the habit sometimes, but we're going to do some exercises that will feel as though they really help to target them. So there'll be a combination of lots of mobility work, but also really focusing on some strengthening, because we know that it's important to have strength in the body to be able to maintain good postures. Okay, so let's get started. So what I'm going to ask you to do initially is to take yourself into a lying position. You're going to lie on your backs. We'll start with your knees bent, and in this position, first of all, let's pay a little bit of attention to neck and shoulders. Now, for some of you, what you might notice as you lie in this position is that you feel as though you're having to almost really reach backwards in order to rest your head on the floor. So you might benefit from popping a block or a cushion or even a really thin pillow if you've got one at home, just to avoid that feeling of being uncomfortable around the neck. I want you to take the palms and turn them up towards the ceiling, thinking as you do that of allowing the shoulders to drop and rest into the floor. So let's imagine that we're lying on a beach here. We want to feel as though we gently imprint the shoulder blades into the sand, as if we're going to be able to stand up, look behind us and see where they were. We're aiming to be able to do that, thinking of our collarbones, smiling outwards as we do so, opening the chest and taking us away from that slightly rounded shoulder posture that so many of us adopt day to day. I want you now to move or scan your attention down the body to the rib cage, really paying attention to whether you feel that the rib cage is connected to the mat, or whether you might be in that group of people that in actual fact sort of hold their ribs in a slightly flared or open position. So if you feel as though you can reach underneath there, or you're just able to notice that you don't really feel like you've properly connected with the floor, I want you to see if you can just allow your back to relax ultimately, giving you the opportunity to let the ribs connect. And we could imagine the idea of maybe the rib cage melting outwards, or again sinking into some soft sand. I'm going to take your attention then to the pelvis, which gives us a little bit of control around our lumbar spine, that lower back region. So with our pelvis, we can gently start to rock the pelvis. We could tilt the pelvis backwards. Imagine your pelvis is like a bucket of water. You're tipping the water all over your chest to tilt it backwards, and you'll notice that your lower back then flattens in towards the floor. We can choose then to tilt it forwards. Imagine the idea of scooping water back into the bucket, arching the lower back, and you might notice that that then gives you some space underneath there. So we're tilting backwards, rocking it back, feeling as though that flattens into the floor, and then we're tilting forwards, rocking it away. And it's useful for you to be able to practice both movements, mainly so that you can recognise what your back is capable of doing, but also to recognise where you tend to sit more naturally. So for some of us, we'll sort of be in an arch quite naturally, whereas for others, we've already got quite a flat back and it feels like, well, I've not got much room to go further than that. So you might have heard terms like imprinting in other gym classes, for example. And what that tends to mean is the idea of flattening the back and then almost sort of scooping the belly or pressing the back in towards the floor. Now, for certain exercises, that cue is okay, but for the majority of our Pilates, what we want to be able to do is find what we call a neutral spine, which feels as though we're softening the curve. We've got this natural S shape to the curve. We're softening it, we're drawing ourselves towards a little bit of a posterior tilt, but we don't want to feel like we're forcing the back through the floorboards at this point. We're just finding neutral. So from that position then, I'm going to start to encourage you to work a little bit around the shoulders. So we're going to bring the hands, we're going to wrap our hands around the elbows as if we're giving our elbows a little hug. And from there, we're going to start to just gently circle with the arms. So as we do that, hopefully what you can feel behind the shoulder blades is a little bit more of a sense of connection, feeling that you're recognizing or understanding the fact that the shoulder blades are pressing or connecting to the mat. And you can switch the circles if you want to a couple of times. And it's really just using it as an opportunity to bring your focus and your attention to that area of the body. I'm going to ask you to pause at the centre then. Take the arms now with that understanding or that recognition of the shoulder blades and keeping them connected to the ground. What I want you to do there is we're going to now breathe in, and as we do that, we're going to keep our breastbone connected to the floor. We're going to allow the ribs to really press towards the floor, but we're going to move our shoulder blades around the outside of our rib cage so that our fingertips feel as though they can move higher towards the ceiling. We're going to breathe out now, and as we do that, we're going to press our shoulder blades down into the floor, checking that as we do that, we don't feel our ribcage pop up from the floor. So let's go again. Breathe in, keep the breastbone connected to the mat. Let the shoulders glide around the ribcage, reaching for the ceiling. And exhale, press the shoulder blades down into the floor, connect them firmly. Let's go for 2 more. Breathe in. Reach for the ceiling, let the shoulder blades move around the outside of your rib cage, and exhale, press them down as if you're pressing them into the sand on the beach. And again, inhale, keep the breastbone really connected to the mat, reach for the ceiling, and exhale, press the shoulder blades down into the floor as you do it. Let the arms rest down beside you. Again, now feeling as though the shoulder blades have done a little bit of connection work to get you there. We're going to take the arms now, bending at the elbows if you can. If you find that that really is too much of an ask, you can straighten the arms if you need to, and they can come closer towards your hips even if you can't get them right out to the side. But we're aiming, the purpose of our movement here is to stretch and allow the chest to open. So from this position then, we're going to bring the ankles and the knees together. Imagine that I've bolted through the ankles and through the knees. So what I'm going to do, either from here or from my straight arm position, is breathe in, roll my knees to one side, turn my head to the opposite side. And when I do that, check that my shoulders still feel connected to the mat. On the exhale, I'm going to scoot my belly to my spine, draw the corset back around me to support the weight of my legs, centering. And then to the opposite side, inhale, roll the knees away from you. Show the soles of your feet on both sides because they're bolted together. Exhale, draw the belly towards your spine, turning the head to the ceiling as you do. Keeping it going. Inhale, roll the knees one way, showing the soles of your feet, of both feet, so you don't feel like they're not stacked up. Exhale, draw the belly down to the spine as you center. Inhale, rolling the knees one way, turning the head the other way. And if you notice that as you do it, the shoulder wants to lift on the opposite side, you might feel, actually, maybe I need to adjust my arm position to enable me to be able to do that without the shoulders lifting. Because our purpose of being in this position is allow the chest to open, to stretch the muscles at the front of the shoulders that can get a little bit shortened, can get a little bit tight because of our postures. So I'm going to ask you to even things out, 1 more in each direction. And when you have done that and you find yourselves back at centre, we can take our arms down beside us, palms towards the floor, and just open the knees and the ankles again back to that hip distance. Now, I did mention at the beginning about your cushions. If it's a very thin one, you should be okay, but if you've got a big block underneath you or a big pillow, take it out from behind your head for this exercise. So we're going to focus on some movement through the lumbar spine. So we're going to take that pelvic tilt that we practiced at the beginning and we're going to move beyond that, rolling ourselves up and off of the floor and then taking ourselves down. So I'm going to talk you through the breath work. We're going to breathe in at the bottom, in through the nose. As we breathe out through the mouth, that breath should last us as we roll our way all the way to the top. Again, using what we've just practiced, pressing down through the shoulder blades to give you a feeling of support at the top here. Breathing in at the top and exhale, rolling the spine down, feeling yourself release the spine like a string of beads out towards the tailbone. Let's go again, breathing in at the bottom. Breathing out, rolling the spine, squeezing into your bottom as you lift your hips, but being cautious not to overly lift, so we don't want to end up in this big arch. We want to feel as though we've got this lovely line from our breastbone to our pubic bone. Inhale at the top to hold, and exhale, releasing the spine down. Now I'm going to take you through a version that requires a little bit more effort, but you are welcome to continue at this level if it feels right for you. So exhale, we're focusing a little bit on our pelvic stability here, imagining that I've got headlights in my hips and they're beaming to the ceiling straight above me. I'm going to raise one heel, bringing myself onto a tiptoe position on one foot, drop it down, opposite leg, lift the heel, drop it down, and all the while focused on keeping that neutral connection at the pelvis and rolling your way down as you were doing before. So that's quite a nice little sort of halfway measure to introduce a little bit of weight shifting without feeling that it changes the effort too dramatically. However, if you do that and you feel as though your pelvis does start to rock and drop, I would go back to version 1. Version 3 then, if you'd like to move a little bit beyond that, really giving you strength into your bottom, we're going to keep that pelvis really level. We're going to draw one knee towards the chest, keeping the hips high, stopping the pelvis from rotating. Replace that foot to the floor. Alternate to the opposite side, lifting, raising, and then replacing. And then finally, back here, rolling your way back down. So I'm using my hands there just to really give you that feedback about your neutral pelvis. But as you do your exercise, you would have the hands down beside you to support you and to give you some help with your balance. I really want you to be conscious of, as you take that foot away from the floor, if you notice your bottom drops or you notice that you twist, I want you to rethink whether that version of exercise is right for you. We're going to do a couple more of whatever version you've got. So you've got 1, 2 or 3, and every version is waking up these muscles in your bottom. Really, we know that the glutes are a huge support system for the lower back and for maintaining good posture. So they are muscles that we want to start to connect to. When you finish the one that you're doing, I want to give you plenty of time to finish, but you are then welcome to draw the knees in towards your chest. You could gently rock from side to side or roll the knees even if you felt that that was more beneficial. Some of you might prefer just to hold a static stretch. Let me give you a moment, making sure everyone can catch up and not feeling like we're rushing you. I'm going to take you down then, turning onto one side, and we will do both sides. So as you lie on your side, your knees are bent up in front of you. You're going to take one hand in front, the other hand is either out the way, resting your head on it, or if you prefer, so if you've got injuries to your shoulder potentially, or it just doesn't like that position, you can have both in front, but I would recommend that you have a block or a cushion here. I don't want you to feel like your neck is really straining to get you there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to breathe in, sweeping the arm upwards, outwards, and rotating towards the back wall, turning your chest towards the ceiling and turning your eyes to look at your hand as it moves around. Exhale, sweep that arm over in that arc, bringing you back around, letting the arm rest in front of you again. As you do it, keep it going. Inhale, take yourself up and over. Make sure that you don't feel as though your knees leave the floor. Exhale, take yourself back around, finding your chest facing the front of the room again. Keeping it going, lots of work on opening that chest. You should feel as though you feel the stretch across the front of the shoulders, but because we're working the thoracic spine, so that's that middle part of the spine where the ribs all attach, it shouldn't feel like the stretch is just isolated to here, but also that you feel the movement and mobility around here. So as you take your arm up and over, be careful that you are noticing that you're turning your chest upwards to the ceiling rather than that you're just reaching the hand behind you. And then similarly, as you come back around, the chest moves, it comes back to face the front. Let's go for one more of those, taking you up and over. And then exhale, drawing your body back around. Well done. I'm going to bring you now to a little bit of glutes work, and for the same reason that I just explained, we know that these muscles here play a huge role in the stability of your pelvis and the way that your pelvis works when you move, and that goes for walking, running, other exercises, using the stairs, so they're important muscles to make sure we're working. So what we're going to do as we lie on our side is just double check that we have maintained a neutral position. So you can see from me there, it's quite easy to let yourself just sort of relax into a position. But what that means is that my pelvis is slightly off center. So I'm going to bring myself as if I'm just pushing my top hip away from my shoulder, and that allows me to feel as though I could put a skewer through my top hip and it would come straight out the one on the bottom, and that actually gives me a little bit of space underneath my waist here, which I want to maintain. So we're going into the clam, breathing in to prepare. As I exhale, I'm keeping my heels together and rolling my top knee open. Inhale, drop the knee back down. Exhale. Inhale, drop the knee back down. Now think about what's happening with the exhale. As you exhale, as we practice, scoot the belly to the spine, work the core. Inhale, release. That allows you a lot more confidence in your stability at your pelvis. So if you feel as though the pelvis wants to keep rolling backwards, activating through the core here is a really, really key point in order to keep that connection. Let's go again. Exhale. Now the other thing that can help is visualizing the muscle that's working. So if we can imagine where the back pocket of your jeans would usually sit, as I exhale and I lift that knee, I want to think about that region and really work to squeeze or grip that part of my bottom. So now I'm working it and I should feel it kick in around there. Let's go for two more. You should feel that even at the basic version of this exercise, there's an obvious connection to your glutes here. Final one. And release back down. Lovely. What we're going to do now is turn, and we're going to do that series on the opposite side. So I'm going to turn this way so I can still see you. You can turn whichever way you like. So on your side, setting yourself up for the thoracic twists. So we're breathing in, sweeping up and over, sending the chest towards the ceiling, opening that arm wide. Exhale. As you do it, inhale, sweep over, keep those knees stuck to the floor. Don't be tempted to let those lift. And exhale, bringing yourself back around. Like I said on the other side, paying attention to making sure this isn't just a shoulder exercise. In fact, it's the thoracic spine that is moving. So we are rotating from the thoracic spine, from the rib cage region, turning the ribs or the chest up towards the ceiling to open, and then bringing it back to face the front of the room as we finish. If you're noticing that the knees are lifting from the floor, what that means is you're going to take the rotation lower down the spine, and that's going to affect your lower back, which is not what we're focused on right now. Let's go for a couple more like this, breathing in to open and out to come back around. Breathing in and out. Well done. Bringing ourselves then to the clam exercise that we did on the other side. So checking that we found neutral. I don't want you too far. You don't want to feel that you've got this huge gap here, but you want to feel like it's enough to feel that the connection from hip to hip is equal. When we're ready to, breathing in to prepare. Exhale. Inhale to drop. Exhale. Inhale to drop. Visualizing that back pocket muscle. Inhale to drop. Inhale to drop. Keep it going. So remembering, part of what we want to do this exercise for is to build strength in this muscle. So we deliberately want to work it to fatigue. You want to feel as though you get that burn in the muscle. And if you're not working to that level, you might want to be thinking about, do we need to do a little bit more, or do you need to add some props? For example, you could use a resistance band around your knees and do this exercise and feel that that increases the effort and therefore build your strength to a greater level. Let's finish with one more. Exhale, squeeze those heels together, grip into that back pocket muscle, and then inhale to release. Really nice work, well done. Let's have a change of position again then, working ourselves along the posterior chain. So by that I mean the muscles along your back, into the back of your bottom and your thighs, and they have a huge role to play in keeping us upright, keeping us supported with our postures. So what I want to do in this position is to set myself up to a neutral line. So I don't want to feel like I've drooped down here, but similarly I don't want this big arch in my back here. So I'm imagining like a straight line from my nape of my neck down towards my tailbone, and the more that I can connect to my centre, the easier that is for me to control. So I am breathing in to prepare. As I exhale, I'm drawing my belly towards my spine, imagining that I've got a corset wrapped around me to support me as I move. Inhale, I'm releasing everything back. Alternate sides. Exhale. Inhale to come back. Keep it going. Now, if you notice that you're doing this and you feel as though you end up with this like arc in your lower back, be conscious of the fact that that potentially means that you're not activating the core muscles in the way that you'd like for the exercise. Now you've got some options. If this feels too hard, you could go to just a single arm extension on the exhale. You could go to just a single leg extension on the exhale, and you can use those tools to sort of build yourself up to being able to do the full Superman pose. And don't be afraid to make modifications. You want these exercises to suit you. Let's keep it going, really thinking and feeling that we work the muscles down the backs of the thighs, down through the back of the shoulder even. As I exhale, I'm scooping my belly to my spine, but I'm also squeezing my bottom. I'm working behind my shoulder blades quite strongly in order to get that reach and lift. And that's something else that's worth thinking about as you extend away. Really think about reaching first and then worrying about the lift. So it doesn't always have to be how high you get. It can be, actually, can I make my body feel longer, potentially? That can give you a totally different feeling, totally different challenge, but really work well. Finish the one that you're doing, evening out each side. I don't want to rush you, but take yourself down when you finish into child's pose. Modify child's pose if you need to. You can bring your knees wide, for example. And I want you to aim to then allow your upper body to rest. We're going to do a little bit of mobility work. So from child's pose, I want you to take both hands and walk them to one side of the mat. As you do that, you should feel that your stretch increases a little bit along one side of the spine. Taking some of your deep breaths will deepen the stretch, so breathing in fully. Feel the stretch deepen and then release it away. Another deep breath like that. And away. And now walk the hands to the other side. Good. We're going to bring our positions down onto our fronts then, and this is a challenge really, this segment around the shoulders. So again, we're focusing on, can we correct or improve some of that upper body posture. So I'm going to start face down. Now again, if you feel that you need to, you could roll a little towel in front of you to put on your forehead, or use a cushion to just rest your forehead on, just if you feel that you need it. We're going to rest the arms beside us, so we call this our W position, as if I traced from my middle finger down to my elbow, up to my head and back along the other way. I'm creating that W shape. Now as I lie on my front, I am working against gravity here, so as I engage my core, I need to be scooping upwards with my tummy muscles, not to the point where I feel like I raise from the floor, but enough to feel that I notice that there's less pressure at my belly button. A nice way of cueing it is imagining that the mat is like a scalding hot pan and you're just sort of lifting away from that really hot surface. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk you through some levels. Level 1, you keep your forehead on the floor. You're going to breathe in to prepare. As you exhale, scoop that belly button up towards your spine. Lift the W, squeezing the shoulder blades behind you to work. Inhale, release the arms back down beside you. Exhale, work the stomach muscles. They're there to support your lumbar spine, stop it collapsing. Inhale, release back down. Exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades towards the centre, raising the wrist and the elbow to an equal level. Keep it going. You might feel as though you could do more. Let's add level 2 if you're up for it. Level 2, on the exhale, a deeper connection to the tummy. Raise the forehead as you raise the W, so the chest comes away. Inhale, release back down. Exhale, scoop the belly to the spine. Inhale, release. Pay attention to what you're doing with your head. You're not looking forward, so you're not tipping the neck backwards. Your eye line should still be down on the mat in front of you. Think, if you can, you could have the idea of holding like a tennis ball or an orange underneath your chin. And you're just making sure you just gently tilt the chin enough to feel as though you could keep that tennis ball there as you raised off of the floor. If you feel that you poke your chin forwards, you know you're going to drop that tennis ball, and that's not what we want for the back of the neck. Let's go for 2 more, either version 1 or version 2. You should all be feeling this, having worked the muscles behind the back of the shoulders. Lovely work, really nice work. We're going to take ourselves through one more exercise using similar muscles. So we've already fatigued them to a degree, and we are going to build on that again. We know that we need to build strength to be able to maintain a better posture. So we're breathing in to prepare. As we exhale, we're taking ourselves into the W and then moving outwards and upwards to find Y. Inhale, you're going to bring the elbows back to a bent W position, but you're not lowering them to the floor. Exhale, scoot the belly button towards the spine. Use it to feel strong and supported. Inhale, bend the elbows back to W. Exhale, press forwards and outwards, reach into the tips of your fingers. Inhale, back to W. Exhale, work the stomach as you reach to Y. Really reach to the tips of the fingers. Inhale to come back to W. You should be fatiguing by now. Work through that effort if you can, keeping your head really settled on the mat, making sure you're not straining the neck by lifting the head or trying to look forwards. Let's go for one more. Exhale. Inhale, back to W, and then release away. And that should have been quite a clear effort around that upper part of the body. Okay, let's bring ourselves up to all fours. We're going to finish today's session with some cat curls. So having just really worked those muscles, let's allow them now a little bit of movement. So we're going to go from cat to cow, breathing out for cat because we scoot the belly upwards, and in for cow where we let the tummy muscles go. Exhale, scooping the belly button up with us, so we're working the tummy here, and the inhale is the release, the complete opposite. 2 to go. Well done. And that brings us to the end of our practice for today. Thank you for joining me, and give it a try, and if there's anything more that you'd like to add in, then give me some feedback. Thank you. Bye.